Hey everyone, welcome back to Homestead Corner. Today we're back in the kitchen and we're going to make some super simple sauerkraut. I do this in small batches because not everybody likes it in our house, so we just do small batches. I'm using a half-gallon jar and just a small head of cabbage today. So let's go ahead and get started. So first I like to take off any leaves that have like spots in them, or if there's any bug damage or anything, we just pull those off and discard those. So we're just going to pull these leaves right off and we're not going to use those. So this looks pretty good now, no damage to it, and I'm just going to cut this up. They're definitely a little tough to get through. So I just quarter these. And then I'm going to cut this stem piece right out. We don't want that. So I just take it and go like that. We don't want that hard stem piece in there. So we're just going to get rid of that. And then I just slice it really thin, like, I don't know, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch slices. So it's about like that, and you're going to get your cabbage nice and shredded. And you can make it, you can cut these in half if you like it a little smaller, but I like it just like this. This works. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish cutting up the rest of this cabbage. Once I have my cabbage all cut up, I just toss it all in a bowl, and you want to make sure your cabbage is super clean, you washed it good, your hands are super clean, because we're going to dig right in here and I guess massage this cabbage, I guess is what you'd call it. So we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of a kosher salt, canning salt. You don't want to use iodized because it's going to discolor it. But we want about 1.5 tablespoons is all we need for this, because this is just a small cabbage and this is going to fit in this half-gallon jar. So we're just going to start massaging this and getting the salt right in there. And we're going to do this for about 5 minutes. We want to make sure it's all evenly coated, and this is going to help stop pulling the juices out. The salt works really well to pull juices out, just like you would use it in pickles to kind of overnight in salt, and same kind of thing. But we're just going to do this for about 5 minutes. Okay, so after about 5 minutes, you're going to see this is starting to really shrink already. It's getting really limp. It's not stiff like it was. It's pretty limp, and you'll see in the bottom you're starting to get a little bit of juices coming out of it. Just in 5 minutes you can already see this. And the grittiness is gone from the salt. It's all massaged in, and the liquid breaks it all down. So now we're ready to jar this. All right, so I like to add a little bit of caraway seeds to this, and just to add a little extra flavor and give it another dimension. And I had about 1/2 tablespoon. You could add a tablespoon, depends on what you like. You don't have to add anything to it. You can totally do this plain. But I like to throw that in there, and it just gives it another layer of flavor. So we're just going to mix that in so it's all mixed in evenly. And we've got our, oh, that smells good. I love those caraway seeds. Yum! Yummy, yummy. All right, so we're just going to grab our funnel And I am going to start loading up this half-gallon jar. Let's see, can you see that? There, and we're just going to put this in to this half-gallon jar. Put it right in there. You want to make sure your jar is super clean. Clean it with hot soapy water first. You want to give that bacteria a nice clean place to grow, because this is going to ferment. And as I do this, I've got a little stamper, I'm not sure what you call this, but it's a little stamper to push things down with, and I'm just going to pat this down in here with this. And if you don't have one of these, you can totally stick your hand in there and do the same exact thing, and just kind of push it down, because you want to pack it right in there. My hand's a little big for that job, but that's okay. So every couple of handfuls, we're just going to pack it down. We want to just pack it right in there so it will all fit in this jar. And it's going to go down some more as we go anyway. Right in there. This does not take long at all, just a few days, and you are going to have some fabulous sauerkraut ready for topping hot dogs and Reubens and all kinds of goodness. So we're going to get this right in here, and we're going to take, not sure if I can get this on camera, but there are a little bit of juices in here, if you can see that. There's a little bit of juice in there. We're going to put that right in the jar. We want that. We want all those juices right in there. So we're going to scrape all this out of the bowl, get as much as we can. We don't lose any. And just pour it right in. That last bit of cabbage. All right, so we've got all our cabbage in there, and I'm just going to press this down again. And there's just a teeny bit of liquid down here right now. But as we go, in the next 24 hours, there should be enough liquid to cover this cabbage. It's going to shrink down some, but it should cover the cabbage. So just pack that right in there. And then I'm going to add, I just have a glass weight for fermenting, and I'm going to add this in, and you just pop that right in the jar. And that's just going to hold everything down. When the liquid starts to rise, that'll hold everything under the liquid. So if you don't have that, you can put like a smallmouth, like a jelly jar in here. That will work as well. And the smallmouth jelly jar will fit inside of the wide mouth half-gallon jar. So they will fit in there. And then the next step is we want this to be able to breathe. This may bubble some, and we want it to be able to breathe and release gases, but we don't want anything getting in there. So I'm going to use this fermenting lid. It's just a little rubber lid, and it allows air to go in and out, but that way it's not going to blow the top off the jar. It can still get the oxygen that it needs. And we're just going to screw this little baby on, if I can get the lid right, just like that. And this keeps anything out of here, so nothing's going to get in this. Now I'm going to let this sit for about 24 hours. And in the meantime, every 4 or 5 hours, when I think about it, when I walk by, I'm going to grab my little stamper. I'm just going to push it down a little bit. We want to get all those juices released so it covers up. So I will bring you back in 24 hours and show you where we're at on this. So after about 24 hours, you can see just a tiny bit of bubbling at the top, and that's okay. And if you have a little bit more, that's okay. And if you don't have any, that's okay too, because this is still got days to go. on fermenting. So we're just gonna open this up, and I'm gonna pull my little weight out. Kind of tip it up. Just gonna pull. My goodness, drop it, make tons of noise. I'm gonna do that too. So I'm just gonna press this down, and you can see there's quite a bit of liquid in there. And you want this to be covered with liquid. I'd like a little bit more in here. So what I'm gonna do at this point, after 24 hours, if it's not covered in liquid, you can add liquid to this. I don't add it until 24 hours because I don't want it to be real runny, but I want it to have plenty of liquid so everything is under the liquid. And I just scrape my jar down and push a little bit. And you can see bubbles come up when you do this. And that is just the fermenting process. It's working and it's doing good. So I just want a tiny bit more of liquid in here. Most of the time this will make enough liquid that it's completely covered, but once in a while it doesn't. It just depends on the cabbage and how much liquid is in the cabbage. So if it doesn't, that's okay. You can take 1 cup of water. I use filtered water or bottled water. You want to make sure everything is really clean, doesn't have any chlorine in it or anything. I don't really like tap water because of the chlorine. And then I'm going to just add 1 tablespoon of water, my goodness, 1 tablespoon of salt to my 1 cup of water. And that's the perfect mixture right there. For fermenting, it works really, really well. And I'm going to take a clean spoon and just mix this and try to get as much of that salt dissolved as I can. I just want to get that salt dissolved so it's not all sitting on the bottom. I want it to be mixed in the water really well. So once the water is nice and clear, I'm just going to add a little bit to this. I just want this covered. That's all I want. I don't want it like too much. I just want to make sure that everything is covered. That is good. We'll just press that side a little bit more. And I make sure that I scrape the sides with my tamper, or if you're using your hands, you can just scrape the sides and get everything under the liquid. And it will float a little bit, which is why we use the weight. And I'm going to put that weight back in and just drop it down in there and try to get it where it's holding everything down. I just want to keep everything underwater so it doesn't get gross. And then that's basically it. I'm going to cap this back up and I'm going to let it sit for 48 more hours. You want this to at least 3 days. You want it to ferment, and then after 3 days you can start testing it, and once you get it to the desired taste that you like, because it's going to be different for everybody, you can go up to 14 days. And then all I do is, once I get it to the taste I want, I just put this in a jar that it fits in, so I don't have this big jar in the fridge. I put it in a smaller jar, usually about 1.5 pint jar is gonna be, this is gonna go down to about 1.5 pints. So we'll use that size jar, and we'll just, once it's to the taste we want, toss it in a jar, throw it in the fridge, and it's ready to go, and it will last months in the fridge. And I just do small batches at a time. This is what works for me because a lot of us don't eat it, and it will take me a while to eat all this myself. So that's it for sauerkraut. It's super easy. It doesn't take hardly any time at all. You have to let it sit overnight, and then, you know, just keep tamping it a couple of times, pressing it down. You want to get that liquid above it. And once your liquid's above after 24 hours, you're going to let it sit for at least 2 more days out on the counter. And I put it in the corner where it's kind of dark. I don't want any direct sunlight on this. We want it in a dark place. You can put it in a cabinet, but after 3 days you want to remember to start tasting it. So you don't want it to go too far that you don't like it anymore, but once you get to that desired taste, throw it in the fridge, you're done. That's it. Easy and simple, and fermented foods are so good for you. These caps are wonderful. If you don't have one of these little fermenting caps, you can just cover this with a cloth, a paper towel. You just want to keep stuff out of it, basically. A dish towel or whatever, you can just cover it over. Anything will work, really. You want air to get in it while it's fermenting, though, and put a regular cap on when you put it in the fridge. And that's it. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.